then hit the OK button. All right. So everyone, welcome to the media workshop for our pre-sim workshop for the Yes Week 2024. I am your host and mentor for the media, Sonia Brooksby. And it's great. I'm going to just say hi to Claire. Shannon's here. Awesome. Andrew, Joy, Eliza, Jade, and Felicity. I am assuming that that's a teaming up situation. James, Kendon, Miriam, and is Sophie or is that Catherine?
It's Catherine. Sophie's eating.
Okay. Okay. Is Catherine online, but Sophie's here in spirit, or?
Yeah, I don't think that Sophie will probably stay with us, but we're just letting her have a little taste of everything.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Oh, and I see Shannon is actually the beautiful and young starlet over there. Okay, all right. So if you can turn your cameras on, that would be great, just so I can start seeing some faces, and it's a little nicer to see a face. And Miriam's face is delightful. Thank you, Miriam. So let's get started. So the workshops this year are designed to give you guys a little bit more of an introduction to what's going to be happening during Yes Week, so that when we start the Yes Week experience, we can jump into something that's already been created. Okay. So I just had a show of hands. If you have been to Yes Week before, just raise your hand. You can either raise your hand so I can see you, and if you got your camera off, raise your hand. Okay. So I'm looking, everyone's pretty much a yes on that. Jade and Felicity. Oh, I've seen your faces before at Yes Week. The one that's not blurry in the background. Okay. All right. So you guys know that when we get to Yes Week, there is a lot of preliminary stuff. There's a lot of getting used to where you're at, getting familiar with your groups, getting to know your mentors and things like that. So we were really hoping that through these workshops, we'd be able to get past a little bit of that right off the bat and set up some really great scenarios so we can step into that world right off the bat, like right after registration, step into the world and have a lot of things already prepared. So in order to do that, we have designed this system with the pre-sim workshop. So first of all, thank you very much for being here. And we appreciate your effort to join us early. As far as the media goes, there is going to be a structure within the Yes Week experience where there will be 2 news stations. Those news stations will have media teams that work for them. And within those media teams, you're going to have reporters, cameramen, news anchors, copy or writers, and you're going to have influencers. So within those teams, there are those specific jobs that will have to happen in order for that news station to function. So with that in mind, this workshop is going to just basically quickly demonstrate what are all the different jobs that are available so that you guys can start thinking about what may be the right space for you during Yes Week. It's kind of an interesting concept in that we're asking you to kind of step into a role before you even get there. And so from that perspective, I'm going to open up the chat over here so I can watch everyone. Influencers and cameramen sounds like the most fun. I know, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to start by giving you kind of a quick, actually, let's start by talking a little bit about what the media's purpose is and what our purpose is. Later on, we'll talk more specifically about this Yes Week's experience and what our purpose is during this Yes Week. But just in general, does anyone have any idea what the purpose of the media is? Thank you. Awesome. And that would be Claire. Are you supposed to be on? Join us on this call?
No,
Okay.
I'm in the assembly.
Well, the assemblies are invited. All right, go ahead, Claire.
So basically, I think the media is to get information to the general, to the rest of the people who are going to be at Yes Week, so that they can be informed if
Awesome.
they missed like a trial or something else.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So keeping people informed is really a very important part of Yes Week. If you guys have been to the Yes Weeks where there was actually a news reporter slash during our steampunk, and I was in charge of that as well. So this is something that we're a little familiar with. It was really an interesting thing to see how everyone bartered information, how important information was during that simulation. So this one is going to be similar, only there's going to be a little added element that there's 2 news stations. So there's going to be a little bit of a competition element in there as well, which will be kind of fun. Okay, so I'm just reading the chat. All right. Okay. So, all right. Let's talk about some other things that the media is doing. First of all, Claire covered that they are informing the public. Media provides news and information to keep the public up to date on current events and issues. That's an easy one. There's other things that it does. It educates the audience. So the media it helps educate the audience by providing analysis, explanations, and content on various topics. Sorry. So when you watch the news, you'll continue to watch it. There's a story that's unfolding. It will continue to educate you as well as tell you what's going on. It will actually, have you ever watched that news show that will take you back and show you in history, this has happened previously. Here are some of the people who have been through these types of experiences. So it educates as well as informs. It also is entertainment. So there is in our news station, there's going to be some forms of entertainment that we'll be dealing with as well. So the media offers entertainment through various forms like movies, TV shows, music, and social media content. I'm not sure how much of that we're going to be utilizing because we're going to be very busy in a lot of other areas, but that would be kind of fun to explore that as well. Creating awareness. It raises awareness about important social, political, and environmental issues, holding power accountable. So it's that concept of if something happens in the dark and people don't know that it's happening, then they can't have a voice about that particular issue. So as a media source, we are the voice that lets the people know what's going on so that they can raise their hand and protest or agreeance to whatever that's happening. But our job is to put it out there so that people aren't in the dark and they have the information that they can use to make choices. The media plays a crucial role in keeping the governments, corporations, and other powerful entities accountable by investigating and reporting on their actions. So here's something that's pretty important specifically for this Yes Week. We're going to have a lot of politicians wandering around. We're going to have a lot of bills that are going to be trying to be passed. There's going to be a lot of agendas that are happening, and it's important that we as the media find out what's really happening, find out behind the scenes, find out what's true and what's not true, investigate, which is a super fun part of the media, and then be able to report on that. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is facilitating public discourse. So it provides a platform for discussion and debates on various issues, allowing diverse viewpoints to be heard. So we see this a lot more on our internet with our social media sites and places where people can make comments, and those comments can be addressed and communicated back and forth so that you have people making a lot of opinionated statements, some very strong and some very dumb, but it's out there, right? It's a space for them to be able to express their feelings. All right. So then let's get into some of the fun stuff, and then we'll go back and I'll talk about some of this other stuff later because I'm thinking it would be fun. So, all right, the job of a reporter. How many of you guys think that the reporter job sounds like the funnest? Raise your hand. The reporter's the one that's getting in everybody's face with the camera and with the, yeah, I thought so. Okay. All right. So the reporter is the person who is kind of the front runner for a lot of the media because they're the ones that are out in the field. They're the ones that are really kind of in the moment of whatever's happening. So you'll see the reporters that are standing in front of the camera and there's the bombs going off in the background. That's the reporter's job, is to be out there on the front line. So the reporter does primarily researching. The reporter gathers information through interviews, research, and observation to uncover news stories. So it's not just that they get sent out to talk to somebody, but the reporter themselves is behind the scenes investigating and trying to find out where the stories actually are. A good reporter is the reporter that's going and doing all of the work to find the stories and is being proactive in going out there and investigating them so they know when they say whatever they say in front of that camera, that they're saying what's true, correct? All right, they also do interviews. Those interviews are most likely those non-formal interviews where they're interviewing somebody on the street. Oh, your house burned down, ma'am. Can you tell me what about it? And then she gives her little interview, right? They also are, it's important that they do their own verification. So reporters verify the accuracy of information and cross-check sources and facts to ensure that the stories are reliable. So that's very important. I mean, if you're a reporter, you're not going to want to stand in front of somebody and tell them something only to find out that it wasn't exactly true and that you were misinformed or that you didn't have enough information or that you admitted something that was important. All right, they also are part of the writing. They write a lot of their own scripts themselves. And honestly, more ad-libbing in the moment. They have to be pretty good at coming up with some interesting things to say to keep the people engaged during their reporting process. And then reporters may be required to report live from scenes or events or cover breaking news as it happens. So I think it's going to be super fun because we're going to have a lot of really fun breaking news stories. And I mean, it could be breaking news. You can make a breaking news story about just about anything. Breaking news, the rain has showed up an hour early and the ducks are really having a hard time getting across the pond or whatever. Like you could make something as boring as dirt sound exciting if you say breaking news right in front of it and then go with it. It's fun. Okay, editing. Reporters may need to edit their own work or work with editors to refine and improve their stories before publication. They are also multimedia skilled. In today's digital age, reporters may also be expected to have skills in multimedia journalism, including creating videos, podcasts, social media content, and interactive graphics to accompany their stories. So I don't think I need to explain. You guys know better than anybody about how great it is when you put some graphics into a story and you can do a lot more fun stuff. All right, so here we come down to the important thing with the ethics. Reporters must adhere to journalistic ethics and standards, such as accuracy, fairness, objectivity in their reporting. So we'll talk about that. We have a whole class that we're going to be doing with the media that is specifically designed to talk about our ethics and truth in reporting and all that good stuff. All right, so that is the job of a reporter. Now, in the news station, the two people that work probably the closest together is the reporter and the cameraman, because wherever the reporter goes, the cameraman really needs to go too. Otherwise, there's really no point in the reporter standing out there with a microphone. Am I right? Okay, guys are all very excited. All right, so the job of a cameraman, let's go into the cameraman job, also known as the camera operator or cinematographer, involving operating cameras to capture images and footages for various visual media productions, such as films, television shows, documentary, news programs, music videos, and commercials. And then we're going to go into the responsibilities of the cameraman. Does anybody have any idea what the cameraman does? I mean, I just listed a lot of them right
He
there.
holds and films things. He holds the
Right.
camera and films things.
Holds the camera and films things. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And probably, make sure that the reporter knows if someone's coming up from behind to smack him in the head, right?
Yeah, and
Okay,
it's actually like a little bit more complicated than you would think because you have to like get the right lighting and angles and stuff.
perfect.
And not trip over while walking.
And
And
not
make sure
trip
you're
over.
capturing everything that needs to be seen.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. All right, perfect. Yes. All right, so operating cameras. Cameramans are responsible for setting up and operating cameras to capture high quality footage according to the requirements of the production. So if you're going to set up a tripod, because you're going to be standing there and she's going to be interviewing for a while, or if you're going to be doing it with just freehand, all that good stuff. All right. Camera setup. They set up cameras, lenses, and other equipment such as tripods, dollies, and cranes to achieve desired shots and angles. Framing and composition, which James pointed out how important that is. Cameramen frame shots and compose images to create visually appealing and engaging footage that effectively tells the story or conveys the message of the production. So super, super important. Camera movement. Cameramen may be required to move the camera smoothly and skillfully to follow, create dramatic shots, and capture specific visual effects. So walking and cameraing at the same time, not falling over. All right, lighting, again, covered that. Lighting, cameramen work closely with lighting technicians to ensure that scenes are properly lit to achieve the desired look and mood for the production. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how lighting can make a huge difference in the end result of your shot. But it's important, especially when it's just the cameraman and the reporter. If the cameraman is standing and the reporter is facing the sun, and they have beautiful sunshine on their face and they can't open their eyes, that's a problem, right? Also a problem if the cameraman puts the reporter directly in on the opposite of the sun or directly in front of the sun, and they have all that lovely black backlight and the reporter's face turns completely black. So all those things are really, really important to know and how to work with lighting. As a cameraman, even though you're not a lighting director, you are kind of your own lighting director when you're out and about and doing things in field. When you're in studio, the cameraman will have a lot more freedom to direct lighting the way they want it to. Okay, collaboration. Cameramen collaborate closely with directors, producers, and other members of the production team to understand the creative vision and technical requirements of the project. In this case, collaboration with the reporter, if you're out on a field assignment, if the reporter is like, the most important thing for me in this report that I'm going to be giving is that we capture the small children over here playing, or I want to capture the, the fight that's broken out over here, or whatever it is that they want to capture behind the reporter, the cameraman needs to understand that and make sure that they are utilizing the camera to capture the things that the reporter is actually wanting them to capture. All right, technical knowledge. Camera must have a solid understanding of camera equipment, techniques, technology to operate camera effectively and troubleshoot any technical issues that may arise. So obviously you're not going to want to get out into the field and have the cameraman's camera start acting funny and then the cameraman doesn't know what to do. So yeah, you definitely need to know how to work your camera and how to deal with all of the technical issues. Attention to detail. Cameramen pay attention to detail such as focus, exposure, framing, and camera movement to ensure that the footage meets quality standards. If you've ever seen someone who has moved the camera around so quickly that you're just getting dizzy and you're not really seeing anything, you know what I'm talking about. Adaptability. Cameramen must be able to adapt into various environments, conditions, including outdoor locations, studios, and challenging shooting locations and situations. So if there is a fight that's breaking out, the cameraman has to know, first of all, how not to take a punch, protect the equipment, protect the reporter, and still get the shots that they need in order to do their job. All right. All right. Sound good? Everybody good on cameraman? Thumbs up? Got cameraman? All right. Now we're going to go into the studio. Into the studio, the first job we're going to talk about is the news anchor. Now, I think any of you who have watched the news know that that is the talking head that sits behind the desks and gives you the information with their little pieces of paper, right? They're also the ones who are going to interview the politicians in a more formal setting. Also, they can mediate debates and things like that. Those are just a few things that we can do with our simulation. Let's talk about what the news anchors do in general. So they are in charge of presenting the news. So news anchors are responsible for presenting news stories, breaking news, and current events to viewers and listeners in a clear and coherent manner, which means articulation is very important. They have whole days of working on just being able to articulate what they're saying so that they're understood by everyone. They need to be able to read scripts. Anchors read scripts presented and prepared by writers or editors, often improvising when necessary to deliver news, updates, reports, and interviews on the air. So you've got to be able to read. That would be a good part, start right there, but also be able to improvise if something happens and you need to do that. Interviewing. News anchors may conduct live or pre-recorded interviews with guests, experts, or reporters to provide additional insights and perspectives on news stories. I think we're going to be using this a lot since ours is kind of a political simulation. Having our political opponents coming in and doing different interviews, I think would be super fun. So I think that a news anchor is going to have a lot of fun doing things like that. Research anchors may need to conduct research and stay informed about current events, trends, and developments to provide accurate and up-to-date information to their audience. So let's say the news reporter is up there and the anchor is giving the report, and there is a technical difficulty and they have to stall for 30 seconds before the technical issue is prepared, or maybe the reporter's not quite ready for them to cut to the reporter and give their report. That 30 seconds doesn't seem very long unless you're looking at a camera and it's live. So knowing what you're talking about is very important. And that's where that research comes in. So it's easy to think, the news reporter, all we have to do is read the paper. Well, if the paper is done and you still have 30 seconds to fill, you need to know what you're talking about. And I love those puppies. Those are so cute. Okay. All right, collaboration. News anchors often work closely with producers, reporters, and other members of the news team to plan and coordinate the content of a broadcast, which our team, being a smaller team, most likely will have to collaborate quite a bit and work together to talk about what reports to do, when to do them, in what order to give the reports, because those are important too. Anyone who knows siblings, it's always important for one sibling to get there and tell mom and dad what really happened before the other one does. So timing is everything. Voice and presentation. Anchors use their voice, tone, and presentation skills to engage viewers and convey the news with authority, credibility, and professionalism, which means we don't use certain words like and like. So it is very apparent when you have listened to someone giving a talk or a speech, when their vernacular isn't up to speed and they are, number one, maybe slurring or hard to listen to. So all of these things are things that a reporter or the anchorman have to be very, very well aware of and skilled at. Adaptability. News anchors must be able to think on their feet, adapt to breaking news situations, and handle live broadcast with poise and composure. If you freak out, jump underneath the table. It's entertaining, but not necessarily professional. So we don't want to do that. Time management. Anchors must manage their time effectively to deliver news with news updates with specific time constraints and deadlines. So if they say you've got 45 seconds to read this script and get this information across, 45 seconds is all you have. It's not 46. So they have to be very, very comfortable managing their time and not having that kind of, freak them out a little bit. Ethics and standards. Here we go again. News anchors are expected to adhere to journalistic ethics and standards such as accuracy, fairness, and objectivity in the reporting and presenting of the news. And we're going to have a whole class on just that particular aspect of media.
All news
right.
anchors are fair.
What's that?
All news anchors are fair.
Oh yeah, all news anchors are completely 100% unbiased all the time. Okay. All right, so that is our news anchors. Anyone have any questions about news anchors? Sound exciting? Good? Okay. The job of a writer. Now, this is for the people who love to write and do the research and give the person that they don't want to be in front of the camera, the paper to the people that are in front of the camera. So writers are the ones who do the research. The writers gather information from various sources such as interviews, press releases, wire services, and online research to stay informed about current events and topics of interest. So they have to stay relevant. They're the ones that are always researching and trying to find out where is going to be the next best story. They write news stories, articles, scripts for broadcast, online content. This involves crafting clear, concise, and engaging content that is suitable for a target audience and adheres to the station's style and guidelines. So truth is truth, but make sure it is within the standards and guidelines of your station. Editing. Writers may also be responsible for editing their own work or the work of others to ensure accuracy, clarity, and adherence to journalistic standards. So a lot of the times what will happen is a reporter will come in having scribbled down a lot of information. The writer gets that information and fleshes it out into the story. That copy is given to the news anchor, and the news anchor then delivers it. Can you see how that collaboration works? And how important a writer is, because the writer needs to be able to take the information that the news reporter brings in and then put it in a form that can be clear, concise, and also do the research revalidating that what the news reporter is bringing is correct information, and then give that to the news anchor. Collaboration with other team members, such as reporters, editors, producers, and sometimes graphic designers or video editors, is essential to produce cohesive and comprehensive news content. Again, you can see how important it is that our news media team is a cohesive unit. You really are going to need to be able to work together to make things happen as a unit and not scatter. Everyone has a different job, but they all have an overlapping aspect of their job. And that can be difficult, or it can be a really, really useful thing so that we're all looking out and taking care of each other. And I'm hoping that that's what we kind of get through during these sims. So we don't have to do that during the simulation. We can have that all figured out beforehand. Okay. Adaptability. Writers need to be able to adapt quickly to changing news situations, deadlines, and formats, as news is often time sensitive and dynamic. I think we found this out during the Yes Week simulation, that initially the news reporters or our people that were gathering information would gather the information and then hold it because that information was so valuable. But it was only valuable for a short time until somebody else found out about it. So I really, really want our news media this time to understand the importance of the value of the information is getting it out first. And remember, we've got 2 news stations. So whoever gets that information out first, or has the most accurate information, or has more detail about that report, they're going to be the more popular between the 2 stations. So it's a competition as well as a race. It's kind of a race to see who can get the information. And all of that investigating, you guys have always done it Yes Week. The media team is all over that. We're going to be all over the investigation. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that includes the writers. Ethical standards, again, upholding ethical standards in journalism, including fact checking, objectivity, and avoiding bias. It's crucial for maintaining credibility and trust with the audience. So I think that when we go over the ethics of that class that we're going to do, it's going to be really kind of a fun. I was reading some of the things that they have done for the other classes. Sorry, I've got some background people. Anyway, okay. All right, so any questions on the writers? All right, I informed them of their loudness. Okay. Last but not least, we are going to cover the world of the influencer. And anyone have any desire to be influencers? James?
I was raising my hand like yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, awesome. Cool.
I might be. It depends on what it entails.
Okay, all right, well, let's get into it. So an influencer is, all right, the job of an influencer involves leveraging their presence online and in social media platforms to create content that resonates with their audience and influences their opinions, behaviors, and purchasing decisions. Let's get into some aspects of influencers. Number 1, they are content creators. Influencers regularly create content such as photos, videos, blogs, posts, social media posts that align with their niche or area of expertise. This content is often engaging, authentic, and relatable to their followers. So whatever it is that you love to do, if somebody would like to watch you do that, you could be an influencer. So let's say you love crocheting. I literally have seen women who just are crocheting online and people will just watch them crocheting for hours. I don't understand why, but they do. That's just, so there's no limit as far as what you can do to be an influencer, what content you're going to choose. I think for this simulation, we would definitely start gearing it more towards the things that are going to be relevant for the simulation. So maybe it could be a makeup channel. It could be anything from fashion or, but right now, because we're in this political setting, a political influencer would be kind of a cool thing. All right, so building a following. Influencers focus on growing and engaging their audience by consistently posting high quality content, interacting with followers, and utilizing strategies such as hashtags, collaborations, and giveaways to attract new followers. Now, how do we do this during Yes Week? We're going to be doing classes that are going to cover each one of these jobs, and we're going to go into this in detail. And I think that there's a lot of really fun possibilities for influencers to be live and online interacting with their followers during Yes Week without having to actually be on camera and set up that whole situation. It's going to be kind of more of a mock-up, because remember, we're in a fairy tale land, so we can get away with a little bit more fun stuff. So I'm pretty excited about some of the possibilities that we can do to set that up. Brand partnerships. Many influencers collaborate with brands and businesses to promote products or services to their audience. These partnerships can take various forms, including sponsored content, affiliate marketing, or brand ambassadorships. I believe ambassadorships is a very good word for this, because you could be an influencer who a politician, one of the legislative people, wants to come onto your channel with you and have an interview with you as an influencer. So things like that are a possibility as well. Authenticity and trust. Successful influencers build trust with their audience by maintaining authenticity, transparency, and credibility in their content. They often share personal stories, experiences, and recommendations that resonate with their followers. So knowing who's following you and what it is that they're looking for is really important for an influencer. So you're going to give them what you want. At the same time, if you're giving somebody what they want that you don't agree with, that's a part that the influencer has to deal with as well. So engagement and community building. Influencers actively engage with their audience by responding to comments, hosting live streams or question and answer sessions, and fostering a sense of community among their followers. So during Yes Week, our influencers are going to be battling to see how many followers they can get. And it will again be a little bit of an element of a competition, but how cool is that, right? All right. Staying relevant. Influencers stay up to date with trends, changes in social media, algorithms, new platforms to adapt to their content strategy and maintain relevance in the ever-evolving digital landscape. So during Yes Week, even within the 5 or 6 days that we're there, the content that you may do may change based on what's happening in the world that we're going to be living in. So being able to adapt and do and to change and to see what's relevant is just as important to an influencer as it is to the reporters, to the cameramen, and everyone else in the media station, which is why I created the influencer as one of the jobs for the media.
I have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
So does it have to be like the content that the influencers make? Does it have to be related to the politics, or can it just be like whatever you want?
Whatever you want. If you can influence and collect followers, then if you think about the people that you follow, they are out there influencing, and you're watching them maybe because they are showing you a video game. They're showing you tutorials to a video game, or they're giving you content of a video game, and you're watching them because you're enjoying that content, but they are speaking to you as the person that's playing that game as well as educating, right? So if I have an opinion, because I'm an influencer, right? So I'm out there and I've got my VTube on and I'm playing my video game, and I am sharing information with you that is not related at all to the video game, but is more about, hey, I just went to do this activity and I saw this politician and he was doing this, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I can share an opinion with you, not related to my content whatsoever, but also influences. Do you see how that works?
Yeah,
So-
I have another question. What
Yep.
are we going to be using to like post on? Because I feel like, would we make like public or private or public accounts on like social media? I would assume that it would be like a private account, so it's not shared to the actual public because it's just part of the sim.
Right. So the thing is that in
'Cause
order
I'm kind of
for,
confused how that would work.
right, right. It's going to be a little bit different than when you would think of a typical influencer. You're not going to be sitting behind a computer. My imagination, and you guys are really in charge of this, right? Like I'm the mentor and I'm in charge, but if you guys have some great ideas, I will be more than happy to take those into account and see how we could make that happen. But one of the ideas that I thought was if we have a TV and you have a camera and there's a live stream and you guys are streaming from a room in the media broadcast station, and it is a television that is sitting outside of your broadcasting station, and that's the news reporting television. That's where we're going to have breaking news. We're going to have stories come by. There'll be certain times influencers will have from this time to this time, it's this person's channel. Then you can share that content. Now, as far as having interactive content with your constituents or your followers at that point would be a little difficult unless you are LinkedIn, which I don't think will be possible. Like you said, it will be a little bit tricky to do that. So I think the best way we're going to have doing it is we'll have maybe dual cameras. So a camera will be facing the people that will be standing there or sitting watching your show, and they can instantly react to what you're saying and you can instantly react back. Does that make sense? So it's not going to be as much online, it's going to be a direct connection, so we don't have to worry about any of the online aspect of it. Does that make sense? There's also going to be another aspect to the media, and I'm not sure if it's going to come underneath our umbrella or not, but there is going to be people who are going to be able to get information from one source to another source very, very quickly, almost like an internet messaging system, only it's going to be actual people, which is going to be really fun. Yes, Claire.
Maybe influencers could also do like in-person, like live streams, like where they go like out and like being, hey, I'm doing like a thing right now. Anyone who wants to watch can come, and they can like talk and hang out with their viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about it, if you live stream and there's a TV somewhere that's showing those things, and we'll probably have to have a few of these around the different areas of Yes Week and the Assembly Hall, most likely, and some of the other places, people will sit and watch your live stream. Or what happens to, I mean, personally, whenever I'm streaming, if somebody sees that I'm streaming and they know that what world I'm in, they'll come and join me in my world. In like, if I'm playing a computer game, they'll come in and they'll join me and play the computer game with me because they want to be with me during the stream. So, you know, you could have a lot of people decide, oh, listen, she's live streaming and she looks like she's over here, and they could join you, and then you would have your interaction literally happening all around you. So in essence, your influencers kind of become their own cameraman and their own reporters. So you have a lot of freedom in the influencing. Yeah, a lot more freedom also because influencers don't have the stipulations of ethics in the same way that the reporters do. And they don't have, the expectations are a little different on the professionalism as well. Not that we want anyone saying cuss words or words that are not appropriate in our little fairy tale land. Keep it clean. Pixie dust and all the good stuff. All right, so that's basically all of our jobs that are going to be available. Now, as far as how we're going to choose who's going to do which jobs, we are going to have an audition process. So we're going to have the first workshop is after this one. This was the introductory workshop. So just for information, the next workshop is going to be covering the cameramen and the reporters. And you're welcome, even if you don't think that that's going to be the job for you, but you want to understand what they're going to be doing exactly, because you're going to be working with them in their team, then please come to that class. And then the week after that will be our anchormen, our writers, and our influencers that we will be discussing and coming up with some ideas. Like that's going to be our brainstorm. We're gonna understand what our jobs are now, and now we're going to start working it to what does that mean during Yes Week and how do we want that to happen. Okay, then after that, we're going to have an ethics class. The ethics class is going to talk about truth and reporting. We're going to decide what is truth to us. How much is it important that we really get all of the facts checked 100%, or do we fudge? Do we make stories up? Do we angle it differently so that one politician candidate looks a little sneaky and then the other one looks wonderful? So that's going to be our ethics class. We're going to talk about logical fallacies. We're going to talk about red herrings. We're going to talk about a lot of things that you guys will actually recognize that the news stations are currently using, even though that ethic aspect is supposed to be there. So we'll see truth versus reality, right? So that's going to be a really fun class. And everyone should come to that one. And then the next one, at the end of that class, we're also going to be going over our audition tapes. So if you want to be a reporter, what I'm going to be wanting from you on that audition tapes we'll explain during that class. And then if you want to be a news anchor, if you want to be an influencer, we're going to start. And also, I'm really hoping that the content that you guys create for your audition tapes is some of the content that we'll be able to use during Yes Week, during our breaking news and on the TVs that are just kind of around in between influencers shows or in between our TV commercials. It'll be fun. You guys can we can start filming TV commercials. We can start filming lots and lots of good stuff that we can put out there. That'll be really fun. And then our last week, so that week we'll have the audition tapes that we'll watch together, and we'll be able to enjoy each other's audition tapes, which will be a lot of fun. And then we will also choose our teams. Our teams will be chosen by that time. And then on the last class, we'll have a team building where you guys will design your station. So this news station, we want this is going to be the theme of our station. This is going to be the why we love news reporting, and all of the things about our news station. You can even create the beginning breaking news. You can create the welcome to our station intros, so that the news reporters and the anchormen have that to start off with, so everyone knows which station you represent. You can create your logos, you can create signs, you can decorate your microphones, anything and all of the team building, so that we can separate our two news anchor or our two news stations, so that there will be no doubt when you're doing your reporting that you're going to be representing. You guys could even like come up with some hat designs or do whatever you want. So that'll be a really fun class for team building. And I think that's pretty much it for our intro class. Does anyone have any questions? Probably lots, but you're probably all. Did I
People
fire
put
hose yet?
questions in the chat while you were talking.
Oh, awesome. I didn't.
You'll
keep
probably have to
going.
scroll up a bit though.
All right, so I am. You guys can keep talking while I'm running through this chat really quick if there's anything else that you guys had.
I think this general consensus of the chat was, how are we going to show our videos and upload them, and where are we going to upload them, and who's going to see them, and how are they going to see them, etc.
Right. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Nathaniel. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to have, let's see, basically TV stations. So there's going to be monitors throughout the Yes Week areas in different areas, right? And then the feeds are going to be somehow miraculously sent to. You remember last year how we did the live feed when we went into the space station and we all died? Well, those of us who died were killed.
Oh, did like a Zoom call or something?
Yeah, things like that. So we're going to
Yeah,
be doing like live, like, because you can live stream from your phone. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I'm not sure exactly how. That's not my purview. I am the one who's creating the content, and somebody else is going to have to figure out how to put it out there. But I'm imagining we're going to have a lot of TV stations that are around, and then they'll just start doing the feed. We'll either have it on the network. Somehow we'll have a network connection and be able to share stuff out. That's a good question. And that's something that we can all work out together too. I'm pretty sure that the idea was that we were going to just do breaking news. I just ate lunch. Very nice. Oh no, someone burnt his lunch. Cameras are going to be probably your phones. Like I have some cameras that I use during Yes Week that I can bring also, and the reporters may be able to use those. But the phones are pretty decent nowadays, and they're easy to upload and download things off of if we have good connections and stuff. So again, that's going to be our tech people that are going to be working on that. I'm hoping that we have a mentor that's over that. The green screens, that's a really good question. It would be really fun to have green screens, and we can look into that. I'll write that as a note. Oh yes, Miriam, we're counting on Stuart for sure. Yeah, I don't know if there's a wall that was green in the thing. If not, it's not that hard to get a sheet that you can throw up, and that would be really a fun idea to do, especially with the news anchors being able to like put whatever behind them that we want to. That would be really fun.
What kind of cameras will we be having?
She
So-
said your phones.
Yeah, mostly it's going to be phones. It depends on what job you're doing. If you are a cameraman, I do have Rebel Tees. I have a couple of Rebel Tees that we can use. And those are pretty good. But in all honesty, the accessibility for the actual videos from your phones are going to be a lot simpler than trying to use the Rebels. Although
Because you can
it's
usually just upload them right to whatever
Yeah.
website or thing. So using the you know, I don't know what you call them, cameras like the
The
little
Canons.
camcorders or whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They're gonna be better quality, but that's just about it. That's like the only pro of them. I've done this a few times. It's kind of a huge pain.
It is. It can be, I mean, it's really great because the quality can be really good, but actually the phones are really catching up with the quality. The only thing that's different is that you have a little more options on some of the on the cameras themselves, on the video cameras. But again, phones are really catching up. Like you've
I
got
think also like the sacrifice of quality versus convenience is like so the ratio. So I think on at the end of the day, like you don't need super good quality here anyway. Like the audio is more important, I think, than I guess it depends on what you're doing. But we have, you know, the phones are great. So yeah. Anyway.
So the influencers go next week because they're also cameramen. Yeah, I think I would really suggest that everybody come to all of the workshops, even if you're maybe not interested in being a cameraman. The more that you understand everybody's job, the more that when you are a team, you'll be able to go, oh yeah, that's right. I went to your class. I understand what you're doing, and you'll know who to go to get whatever help that you need. And when you're collaborating, it'll make it a lot easier if you've been here to all of them. So, and remember, we're going to be recording them and hopefully putting them on the YouTube channel for the Yes Week. So they'll be accessible. If you can't come to every one of the meetings, they'll be, I know there was several other people that wanted to come to this one and that weren't able to be here just because of other things that they had going on. So let's see. Professional editor. That's awesome. I mean, really, the editing skills is super important on this kind of stuff. So it makes all the difference in the world how you present something. We're going to talk about when we go over the classes specifically for the cameramen and the reporters and how you present things and how important it is to do it in a way that you're very intentional. Yes, Andrew.
Kendon has a question, but I also have one too, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Not at all.
So what job would the editors be at in the team?
So
They're
technically,
probably
every
gonna
one of
be
you guys,
editors.
as all of you guys are editors. So if you
Yeah, but
are
like what focus area?
So let's
There's-
say I'm a reporter and I have a cameraman and we're the team. So we're going to take that video feed and we're going to take it back to the station and we are going to edit that video feed into a presentable clip so that the anchorman can show that clip when he's talking about that story. Or if it's a live feed and you're not editing in the moment, then it could be that the feed that you're sending in, somebody at the station is taking that and editing that, and that could be the writer that's helping edit and creates content that can go back up, as quickly as possible. So I think a lot of people are going to be doing editing. So I think it's a really good skill for everyone to have. Also, graphic design is very important. Influencers use it more than anyone else, but there's a lot of it in news reporting now. There's a lot of things that going across the screen, information in the corners. There's all sorts of stuff that will keep the audience engaged in what they're watching instead of just the talking head. You've got a lot more stuff going on nowadays, which is really helpful. So I think everyone needs to have some editing skills. And if you don't have it, then hopefully we'll help kind of utilize and build that skill set before we get to Yes Week so that when we hit the ground, we're done, we're good to go. Okay, any other questions?
I heard that there was going to be like an application process for being able to be on the media team.
There is indeed. We are going to be submitting audition tapes. So it's going to be clips. Even if you're a writer and you don't want to be on camera, if you write a piece and have someone else do the anchor portion of it for you so you can collaborate. Let's say I want to audition as a reporter and I have a friend who wants to audition as a cameraman, work together to create lots of content and send those in as joint audition pieces. Influencers can work independent if they want, but writers and anchormen can work together to create stories and then share the stories and content. So the audition tapes aren't necessarily to say, oh, you guys, you did such a great job and you get this job. It's so that the mentors that are going to be working with you get a feel of where your capacity is and what you can offer, so that we can put you in the right spaces and then have you guys work together as a team. So if you've noticed, all of our different jobs that we have kind of overlap quite a bit. So no matter what job you get in the media, I think you'll be happy with the result, because there's going to be so much of you guys that are kind of stepping into each other's shoes at certain times. Let's say our reporter is in the bathroom and there's a news story that just broke out. What do I do if I'm the editor at that station? Well, I may send out a writer. I may send out my anchor person who's not normally in the field, but at that moment, I need him out in the field. So it's really important for you guys to be very flexible and very movable, especially if we have a smaller team. And then, I mean, even if we have a bigger team, there's no telling who's going to, I mean, you guys killed me last time. Who knows what's going to happen? Right? Okay. Anything else?
One more question.
Yes, sir.
I was curious, and I'm assuming that this is right. I was just curious, like, is there like are we gonna have like our own little groups of people that like there's gonna be a group, we can have our own name and everything, we can do our own videos, and then every other group that, or like maybe only one person or two people, but we can also do like 4 people if you want, but we can all choose that at the time, right?
So there's going to be 2 news stations. And then within the news stations, there's going to be news teams within those stations. So it's going to be a little structured. But at the same time, you guys are creating what the news station looks like. And the only thing that you don't have a choice is each news station will have a mentor. I'll be mentoring one station, and I believe I have a super awesome person that's going to be mentoring the other news station. And we'll be the one who will be helping to direct, but not tell you guys what to do. Like, this is going to be your simulation and this is your media outlet. But we're there to kind of help and keep things on track and keep going the right direction. But anything after that is your guys' structure.
Do we get to choose which group we're in?
When you do your audition tape, the media mentors will probably be the ones to allocate which team goes to which direction.
Okay.
But like I said before, I think you'll all just be pretty happy with whatever job you get, because I think there's enough overlap. As far as like working with the people, you know what? Sometimes you don't get to choose who you get to work with, and that's part of life. So we'll see how that works out.
Right. I was sort of asking these questions so that we would have answers, not that I really need them.
You know what, Nathaniel, it's always good to ask questions, because if you
Right.
if you don't necessarily need all that information, somebody else does.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Perfect.
That's exactly why I'm doing it. Anyway, I had one more question.
Okay.
But I think I forgot it. So I'll if it comes to me, I'll get it. But
Okay.
don't stress it.
All right, sounds good. And you can always catch it next time. So we're going to be doing this again next week. And let's see
time?
the schedule. Yep, so we're going to do it at the same time. We have the 16th, we're going to work on the cameramen and the reporters. The 23rd, we're going to work on the anchorman, the writer, and the influencer. The 30th, we're going to take that week off, because I've got lots of stuff going on that week. But what I'll probably have you guys do by the time you guys are done on the 23rd, I'm going to start having you guys create some content, start creating it can be a TV commercial on, dog walking, or I don't care what it is, but we just really want to have some really fun content that we can keep going and putting on our news feeds and putting on those TV channels that will just be looped, and it'll be just fun. You've gone into the doctor's office and seen those looped things that are going on. Like, that's what we're looking for doing. So we'll start kind of creating some content during the 23rd to the 30th. By the 7th, we're going to have our truth and reporting ethics versus the bottom line. And the 14th, and at the end of the 7th, we're also going to talk about what the audition tape need to look like. I really don't think there's going to be a lot of rules about the audition tape. I really want to see your creativity and your ideas. There's not going to be a limit. I don't want them an hour long. We're talking news reports are very short and concise. And TV commercials, again, 30 seconds, 1 minute, you know, very short and concise, but feel free to do as many of them as you want to give me every single kind of angle about different kind of things that you can do. So the audition tapes is what we'll be going over on the 14th. And talking about how to improve those, because again, this is a workshop, so we're going to be working. And then on the 21st is off, so you guys can still be creating content during that time. By the 28th, we'll have assigned our teams and assign our news stations. And then at that point, we'll start doing our team building, creating the station that you want, creating the logos, and creating all that good stuff. And then between the 28th and the Yes Week, we'll continue to keep that going so that when we show up to Yes Week, everyone has their assignments, they know what they're doing, and they can come prepared. I will tell you that this is not the cheaper chicken. I can slack off. What job do I want to do? Oh, I guess I'll just go hang out in the media room. That's not this job this year. You guys are going to have reporters' badges that will give you access to the broadcasting stations. Other people will not be allowed in. It's not a place for them to come hang out with you. It is literally a very, very private and secured location so that we can keep our news reports and our stories under wraps until we're ready to send them out there. So if you think about it, there is going to be constantly something to report on because there's going to be a lot of things. You know how Yes Week can get really crazy. And if it gets boring, guess who gets to save it? We do, right? We're the ones who come up with the really interesting, sensational stories. And, you know, whether or not it's true or not, up to you. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Any other questions? Other than, Sonia, how are you still awake when you are so jet lagged? How about that one?
How are you so awesome?
Well, let me tell you.
Oh no.
It started back in no, I'm just kidding. 1967, kids.
Sounds like
All
my
right.
mom was born.
I know, right? We're like months apart from each other. That's how cool we are together.
That's so cool.
We could be twins.
That's awesome.
Sonia, what happens if you audition for a spot on the media and there's just not enough spots? Nathaniel was making a comment about that.
Oh yeah, good idea.
What are
Good
your
comment.
options then?
Yes, awesome. Okay, so
I thought
let's
that
say.
might mention that because that was my question in the first place. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I
Oh,
forgot
no,
it.
totally fine, totally fine. And thanks for keeping me up on the chat. I'm sometimes not very good about that. Even when I'm doing my VTube channel, my kids have to keep me watching the chat too. So it's a habit I need to have. If let's say we have a 5-member team on the media station and we have 6 people that want to be on the media, we're not going to kick that 6th person off. There will be a spot created for people to be able to still be on the media team. It's really easy to have 2 reporters. It's really easy to have 2 influencers. It's easy to have, but we won't know until we get closer to Yes Week and we have more people and we know exactly how many people are going to want to be in the media. Obviously, we can't have everyone in the media. So there will have to be some limitations, but at this point, we're not really sure what those are. And I'm pretty excited about having as many of you as we can facilitate and still oversee comfortably. Like, I do not want there to be so many people in the media that I cannot keep track of you guys and really, really help you have the experience that you deserve to have. So I think that would be the only consideration in limiting the amount of people in the media. But other than that, pretty excited about having everybody and working with everybody. So does that answer that question, or was that vague enough? Do I sound like a politician?
Thank you so much, Sonia.
No problem. Okay. All right. So I think we're going to close it up for today. Thank you so much for everyone being here, and we will hopefully see you guys next week. And I hope that those of you who lied recognize the importance of keeping your lies as close to the truth as possible so that people will be thinking, wow, what a credible person. So I appreciate all your skills and what you're going to bring to the table. And also, if in your auditions, just a little side note, just really quickly, it's really a good idea for you to let us know what your skill level is in certain areas. Like if you are amazing at editing, we need to know that. So when you're doing your auditions, you know, obviously you're going to show what you can do, but you know, telling us also would be really helpful. Okay, sounds great. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'll see ya. Have a great rest of your night.